Hey guys, welcome back for day 20. Yes, I get to work in the house this time. Woohoo! Yay for AC. Today I'm going to be tackling the electrical. I'm starting off here with the rear lights. I don't think this is going to be any kind of hard job whatsoever. It's just going to be something you have to be very precise about and make sure you go step by step. I've made mistakes doing wiring before, like I forget to put the heat shrink on before I make my connection, and I got to take it apart and then slide it on and do it again. So I'm just going to make sure I do everything right. They do have an install guide for the light kit. Unfortunately, it's for the previous generation bike, and there are some differences, but it's not that difficult. I'm sure I'll get through it. So I've got some basic tools here. I've got my strippers, my crimpers. I got a pair of nippers here. They did supply pretty much everything you need. I don't think I'm going to be short anything. I mean, I don't have to go to the store for jack. I've got large heat shrink tubing, small heat shrink tubing, wire ties, the lights themselves. They even give you an extra one. That's pretty cool. I guess just in case one breaks. I don't know. Maybe they have a problem getting hit on the road. I have no idea, but it says spare light, so I'll take it. This is the brake light, and it also has the license plate light underneath it, and these rear turn signals are also going to be wired up as running lights. So it's a really simple setup. This is the harness off my bike. And I guess it's a real good thing I forgot to sell the rear lights because this was attached to it. I don't actually need it for anything, but it gives me a nice length of wire here so I don't have to go and buy wire. Now, their instructions do tell you to reuse this connector, but because somebody buggered up the wires on the bike side of this connector, I'm going to be snipping it off anyway. So I'm going to be attaching everything to this harness, but then cutting this off and hard wiring this into the bike after everything is done. So that way also I don't have to worry about running wires before I make connections. They're all going to be loose up into the bike. So I can feed everything through exactly as I need it, and that'll work beautifully. Basically, it's a simple electrical setup. We have a ground, and that's going to be split three ways going to each light. We have running lights, and these are the actual colors. I'm just making an example. Running lights, and that's going to be split three ways, so all three lights act as running lights. And then we have one activation for the brake, one activation for left signal, and one activation for the right signal, and that's it. So it's just making all the different connections. A lot of crimping, a lot of stripping, a lot of making sure everything's the right length. And that's it. I'm going to get to it. I got step one done. That was doing the running light and ground split into three. Got those crimped together and then just got them heat shrinked. Got my handy heat gun that you can't see. It's not in the light. There you go. You can use a hairdryer or even a Bic, a soft flame lighter, if you're really careful about not burning anything. And obviously it just takes a long time with a hairdryer. But if you put the heat gun on high, hold this about 1 inch in front of the gun, it takes about 5 seconds for it to go. Just start to see it melt, you're good. Nice and tight, waterproof. Bada bing, bada boom. Much, much better than electrical tape. If you're building wiring like this, there's no reason not to use shrink wrap, or not shrink wrap, heat shrink. It's super easy to work with. You just trim a little bit off the size, slide it over, heat it up, and you're done. But, if you're in the middle of repairing a connection or, in the middle of a harness or something, sure, go ahead and use tape. Getting it done. Looks like I'm about a third of the way done or so. A lot of crimping. Putting the lights together here and getting these wires extended. Got the main harness here. I already cut it. Snakes on down there. It was just easier to work with without the end. Got this light extended. 2 more wires on here. And I'm just about to start on the tail light as soon as I get this side wrapped up here. One of these is the signal, and one is the tail light, and then the brown is the ground going to the housing here. And there we go. That took about, half hour, 45 minutes total. Got all 3 lights completely done, ready to mount on the bike. Lots of different combinations of shrink wrap and bullet connectors and all kinds of good stuff. But they are watertight, look great. Good instructions. It really is easy. Don't be daunted about any kind of electrical stuff like this. This was really fun to me. Now I have to skip around a little bit because the next step in their instructions is to mount it on the bike, but I need some other stuff, and waiting on the tank before I can get the seat bracket in there, and that'll be like the last step. So I'm going to go ahead and see about wiring up the front lights, pretty much doing the same thing, I believe, but this is where the instructions differ because my bike has different wiring than they show, so I'll be consulting the manual, but it's going to be pretty much the same thing and making up two of these guys here. Nothing to do with the headlight. Here I've got the front lights that I've prepped. I've switched the amber lenses because these are going on the front as the indicators and running lights, so you can't have red in the front. So those are garbage. And these wires here are the stock ones from the front of the bike. It looks like the only difference between the instructions and the later models is the type of connectors. They reference a dual square connector and a single round. Well, mine had 3 bullet connectors, but it looks like the color codes are all the same. They're really hard to tell because they're kind of faded and dirty, but one is a blue, one is a black, and one is a gray, and then this one looks like the same. So we'll just have to keep them straight left and right. It's probably a difference in the colors in the bike itself. Maybe there's a stripe difference. That's a black with a white stripe. That's black with a white. This is solid gray, and this is solid gray. This is solid blue, and that's solid blue. So there's no difference on the bike lights themselves. These are the replacements, obviously, and I'll just have to I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to depend on what I connect this end to in the bike, which is going to be which. So I'll just look up the color code in the manual when I get to that part. I think we can do that real soon. I think I can mount the headlight and the front lights and the front bar because I'm done with that, and then maybe even the handlebars after I get done with this. We'll see how much time I have. Aha! And here's why there's a discrepancy in what I have versus the instructions. This bike I purchased must have had the factory optional light assembly with those 2 auxiliary driving lights and the different front turn signals, because these little pigtail adapters right here are the difference. Here's the 2 connectors that they reference. If you had a bone stock machine, your turn signals plug right into here. You've got the square connector with 2 wires, a blue and a black, and then the single, which is the gray. That's what they're referencing in the instructions. Well, they go down into just 3 bullet connectors on the optional driving light package. So if you are doing this and you're using the blue collar bobber instructions and you have the factory driving light assembly, here's the difference. The square connector uses the black and white, that's the ground, and the blue, and the single is the gray. Now I have to go back and listen to the instructions again. They tell you which is running. They reference what this single wire is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's in their instructions. So anyway, this is what you need to know. The black is the ground on both. The square connector is the blue, and the single is the gray. So that's all you need to connect the dots. And there we go, front lights finished. Now what I'm going to do is go out to the garage. We'll put on the front light bar, we'll put on the headlight, we'll reconnect all the wiring inside there, button that up, and then I can throw the battery in and we'll test these out, figure out which is left and right, and get these mounted. Forgot where I'd left off out here. Before I do the lights and all that, I'm going to button this all back up, put the spark plug back in, put the boot back in, put the cover back in, put the pair system back together, and actually I think I can even put the side covers back on here because I'm all done in there, and the suspension's done. I did clean and lubricate the side stand so it operates perfectly now. Operates like it normally should. Nice and springy, nice and loose. So this will tidy up this side pretty quick. I'm not putting on the side covers until last because I've got a bunch of wiring going in here. Tail light goes there, signals go here, and it all kind of gets zip tied up in here, and then my custom side covers will cover all that hole up. So first thing to do is button all this up, and then we'll get to the front, and man, this is going to come together really quick. Still have quite a wait for paint, so there's not that much left to do. Pretty much everything else here, well, the bars and the grips and all that, I think I'll probably do that tomorrow. And yeah, I think that is about it. Just putting the seat on, that's like 4 bolts. Big deal. That has to wait for the tank. That's a side cover. Seat pin has to wait for the tank. Seat has to wait for the tank. Putting the fenders on is going to be pretty easy. I already got the brackets on here, and it's just 8 bolts for the front. So, yep. I don't know if I'll have a video every day until the tanks come, or the tank and fenders, but we'll see. It's coming together really fast, that's for sure. And there we go. I spent a lot of time cleaning and zip tying and just getting everything nice underneath while I was putting it back together. Top end button back up. Oop, forgot the spark plug wire. Just saw that now that I have the light on. And pair system back in place. It's a rubber gasket, so I didn't have to thankfully get a new gasket or anything. I've got the clutch linkage and transmission cover on. I'm going to leave the last cover off because the first time I fire it up I want to get it warmed, and I still need to burp the coolant system. I'm sure there's going to be an air pocket in there, and I may need to top off the reservoir tank, so might as well just leave access to that. And that just goes on with these 3 little shoulder bolts right there. So now let's go ahead and let's see, I guess I have to put the headlight on, or headlight basket on first, and then we'll start cleaning up these wires here. The controls and everything, that'll still hang, but this huge bundle here, that all gets tucked into the headlight, and then we can put on the new light bar and the new indicators, and then I'll just drop the battery in, and we'll have to do a trial and error test. That'll be the quickest way to find left and right. Let's go. Starting out, first thing I have to do is feed all the wires through the can, because I remember that had to come off last. They all came out last, and I had to do them kind of one at a time. Let's see, this is the clutch cable. I'm just kind of let that hang somewhere for now. I've got one control that's off the bars. This is the lights and signals and horn, so that's obviously important. That's what we're going to be testing. I've got everything routed through this factory harness, so I guess if I decide I don't want to go through there later, I can always feed it back through. Kind of a tight fit. There we go. Give this guy plenty of slack. Don't know where he's going to end up quite yet. Put him up there. Get these out of the way a little bit. Don't want these coming down and slamming into something because that's kind of heavy. That's a hydraulic line, so it's got some tension. Plug. This is the speedometer. There's going to be a connection inside somewhere for that. I've got this whole big harness back here. So that's... Ooh, just had deja vu. That's funny. This is all going to feed through this back hole. And let's see where that falls. Right above here. Okay, so this is just going to come up alongside here. So that feeds through the forks. I have to remember I still have to put in my control box for the new headlight. Should still be room. There's plenty of room in that can. Okay, I just want to make sure that's all the electrical connections that go into the headlight. I think it is. It's just the main harness, the speedometer. Was there anything on the right hand side? Let's see. Throttle. Thought there was a brake connection. Let me see. Here's the wire. Comes through here. Ah, yes, there it is, right here. Okay, so this comes down, and that's all going to go through. So we've got 4 electrical bundles that all have to feed through the back of the light. Okay, no problem. We can do that. Man, it's hard to believe all this is going to fit in the can. I might have to pull some back out a bit and get creative. There's not that much room in here. Feed everything through. I could save a little bit of room by taking off these extensions too, so that's, well, it's not that much room. But if I have to, it's there. I did add this little bit of wire here. That's for the new headlight. Now you see why I got that extra slim HID light, just for the sort of an occasion. Okay, main harness is in. Next one is the brake. Then we have the headlight and signals. And these all just connect to each other. These 2 control cables connect to 2 connections on this main harness. So they kind of loop and they connect inside the can. That keeps these connections more watertight. So there we go. Oh, speedometer. Got him. How could I forget the speedometer? The fun meter. Okay, now I'm going to loosely bolt this down a bit so I can play with all the wires and not have to hold it up. We've got 3 bolts, and then you have these metal bendable wire retainers. The long one goes in the center in the back. So I'm going to run him in by hand. I can see the hole. There it goes. I just want this in place right now. Oh, come on. Come on. Just start. Oh, that stupid wire tie getting in my way. Alright, got it started by hand. Run it in by hand. Don't want it tight right now. Just want it to not move around so much. Alright, now I can put the other 2 in. Is that going in? Slowly. Is it caught up? Make sure it's not cross-threaded. Feels fine. Just gets stuck. Have anything on the threads? Yep. There's some crap right there. Looks like it was just a little surface corrosion. Just kind of buggering it up. Hopefully it's not in the threads. In the frame too. 2 out of 3. Okay. Whew. It's like 1 in the morning and it is stifling out. I am dripping in sweat. Oh, okay. Now let's reconnect what we can reconnect in here. And then we'll figure out how to tie everything up. So let's see, that goes to the headlight, and I wanted to redo these, didn't I? Oh, no, those are my new ones. Okay. There were some I flagged. It's on the bike side of the other lights. Okay, so this one goes here. Got some diagnostic plugs in here. They've got caps over them. There's a bunch in the back of the bike too. You just don't worry about those. These are going to be for the new running lights. This one goes in here. Okay, and then this old big one goes here. Make sure we're connected right. Yep, nice and tight. Okay, so now we're left with just needing the light box. So let me grab that and we'll figure out how to smush everything in here. Okay, I've connected the, well, first I put on the rubber boot to the back of the light here. Connected the control box, so this is the size of it. No big deal there. Somehow, I have lost my 2 side screws. I really have no idea where they went, but I may have to take this into Home Depot to match the thread. And there might be some other bolts that can match, but I might have to get something else to go in there. I can't even find the bag. I mean, I'm sure I bagged them like everything else. I labeled everything. I'm usually really good about that. I don't see the bag, and there's only 2 little chrome Phillips screws. I remember I hated them because they were Phillips, so no big deal. I can replace them with a button head. Not a big deal at all, but it just kind of bugs me that I can't find it. So we're going to let this guy hang for a little bit here. And what I'm going to do, just prop him up in between the forks here. I won't go anywhere. So we can, let's see, do I want to connect the headlight yet? Yeah, I probably do, so I can arrange everything. I'd like it so I can disconnect this box fairly easily just by dropping it down, so we'll figure out where to put him in a second. Let's see, what else have we got? Everything else just has to tuck up. We need these accessible. So we got this loop, we got this loop, and this loop. I guess we can kind of snake it around. Looks like most of the space is going to be around the hole, so I'll try to lay stuff in like that. I need these to drip down. And then the box. Well, let's see. Bend this guy down. This guy down. This is right side up. see. Maybe something like that. That'll work. Alright, so what I want to do with that box is I'm going to wrap some foam around it so that it's not going to make any noise bouncing around. And then I'm going to zip tie it to one of those cables. Right there. Get in there, come on. Okay. Nice. Now we can go ahead and plug in, well, no, I gotta put in the light bar first. So let's do that. Then we can plug in the lights and test them, figure out which is left and right, and mount them. Got the new light bar here, and it goes on with the stock screws, which I did bag and tag. Carefully line this. Huh. Is that hitting? No. Thought it was hitting the fork there for a second. Start these by hand. Come on. There we go. Okay. Torque those down. Just German torque specs, good and tight. Okay. Now we can plug in our running lights, or our front lights, I should say. So here's the ground. And that went to the black. Got a gray, a blue, and a black in each one of these. Black with a white stripe, I should say. Plug these back in carefully. Slide this back. There we go. Now, blue and a gray. Same color to same color. All we're going to figure out is which is left and which is right. That's all there is to this. Okay, there's one. Just kind of drape him over here for now. Here's the other. Okay, so we'll
hang him over this way, and if they end up being backwards, we'll move them. Pretty simple. Get in there. All right, you stay up there. Okay, now I've got to throw in the battery. Hold on. Aha! I had to find my key. I forgot I had it in my gas cap. Since I had it rekeyed, I was looking for the keychain dangling. All right, moment of truth. I got the battery in. I'm just going to turn it to on. Of course, I'm not starting it, but hopefully we see some lights. If not, we're in trouble. And no sparks, no explosions. 3, 2, 1. Fuel pump works. Running lights work. Headlight works. Okay, so far so good. So now I need to find the directional control switch. Should be here. And we're going to test left. Okay, so I do have them reversed. We'll test right. Cool. Alright, so swap those around and mount them. Turn the key back off. I'm going to leave the battery in for now, because I'll be doing the rears shortly. Let's get this buttoned up. We can be done with the front except for the fender. That's not bad for tonight. I'll take that. So I'll swing these guys around the other way. Okay, so this is left. This is right. Alright, I need to go back to their instructions now and see about all the details about getting these in. Wow, did they go overboard on how much wire you need? Oh, it just occurred to me, these have to snake in probably through this bottom hole, or maybe out through the back again. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I got bullet connectors, so no big deal there. I think I'll label left and right on these. Alright, cool. Stand by. So I took them back in the house, put on this last bit of heat shrink. Now I'm figuring out the best way to mount these to make the wires nice and clean. Just concerned about where the ground wire pokes out. I don't really want to see it. I want to see if there's enough clearance to put it up to the top. Kind of hide it up here. I think there is. We'll see in a second. Come on. It's really a snug fit between all these washers and this tiny little bracket. There we go. Make sure it's not going to be hitting the forks or anything, but these don't move. I think that'll work. Okay, I need probably a 14 wrench, I think. Maybe a 16? Nope, 14. Make sure they're level. Looks good right there. check. There. Beautiful. All right. This is going to feed up through a hole right in the middle of the bracket, and they drilled two little tiny holes right next to it so you can put a zip tie and make sure that this bundle doesn't go anywhere or can be seen underneath. So I'll feed all these through here. And they go through the bottom hole in the light like that. I made a mental note that the signal bundle with the green wire is the right side. That was the differentiation, and that's on the bike side of the harness. So these will plug into the one without the green. Oh, no, up here I meant. Okay, so here's the green. This is left. So we'll plug this back in. Do the other side. Black with white stripe. Check. Blue. Hey now. Check. And gray. And I guess I'm going to have to wait until morning, unless I'll look around here one more time and see if I can find those two screws for the headlight. I really can't believe I would have done anything with them. I wouldn't have given them, you know, when I sold the rest of the parts because they didn't go to anything else. They got to be around here. I'll look again. Anyway, I'm going to do the other side here, and that will wrap us up. I found them. The bag was hiding under something else. I knew I had them. Okay, so now we got the second light installed. We're going to run these wires up. Same as the other ones, through the bottom hole. Through the headlight. One. Come on. Get this guy out of the way. 2, 3. There we go. Oh, missed one. Where'd he go? He fell out. Wait for me, guys. There we go. Okay, run these through until the shrink grips. Heat shrink is all the way in. There we go. I'm going to get 2 little wire ties after I'm done here and just put them up in this bracket so you never see any wires. So let's connect our final front connectors. Black with white stripe. Check. Blue. Check. And last but not least, gray. Our running light. Check. Okay, the one final check before I button everything back up. Both running lights. Left signal. Now it's blinking fast because I don't have the rear lights installed, so don't mind that. Right blinker. Okay. Key out. Now we tuck everything back up. I'm going to put these over top, kind of loop them up in between this other bigger harness, out of the way. So we've got pretty much turn signals in one area, headlight in another. This should fit. Should. Ah, a little snug. Looks like I'm hitting on the new control box. We'll move that out of the way a little bit. Move these wires down. Make sure none are hanging out. Okay, try that. Still kind of hitting on that control box. It wants to come down when I close the light assembly. That's the problem. I think we can just squish it in. And there we go. Stay. Align the screw holes. And get one in. One. Oh, hey now. I almost knocked over the camera. And two. Now what I'll do is, once I get the bike complete and able to roll, I'll take it out at night here on the end of the road and use these bottom two adjustment screws to align the actual headlight. Okay, that is looking pretty good. After I get the bars on, that front end will be completely done. Awesome. Alright, well that wraps up day 20. Getting real close now. You know, it's funny, I think there's not that much left to do, but each step takes like half a day. But I admit half of it is me figuring out what to do, you know, because it's the first time doing this particular project, first time working on this bike, first time I've ever touched one of these bikes, you know, so everything is new. But I have to say, if I had all the parts, didn't have to run out for tools or supplies 20 times, knew what I wanted ahead of time, had everything waiting, and pulled one of these bikes in, I think it would be a 3-day project, working 8 hours a day. You know, not taking your time, but an honest, hard 8 hours of work. I think it would be a complete 3-day project for teardown, maintenance items, and then recreating it as a bobber. I think about half of that is the maintenance part, just, you know, making sure that it's back to a nice 0-mile kind of bike, and then the other half is the new kind of build. Stock parts would have went on lickety split pretty much just as fast as they came off, you know. So don't be afraid to do this, you know, whether it's this bike or another bike. Honestly, waiting for the parts and, you know, getting into something and then figuring out, oh shoot, I need to order this, waiting 4 or 5 days for it, getting to another part, oh shoot, I got to order that. You know, that's been the biggest time hang up of this. Luckily, I tore it down quick enough where I ran into a lot of stuff over the, you know, 2-3 days where I did, so I was able to order the stuff fast enough. And, you know, I did wait on the blue collar bobber parts. Awesome quality, by the way, absolutely love their stuff so far. but I waited on that until I got into the project enough where I knew it wasn't, you know, a trashed bike. There is a chance, even though you do a cursory inspection when you buy a used bike, even as thorough as I did. And by the way, check out, if you didn't see it, my video on buying the new bike. I put on the checklist I use, and it's a conglomeration of various ones that I found on the internet, and it's what I went by, and it worked out very well for me, obviously. Even if you go by that, there's still some stuff that you're going to find later on, like the bearings. You can't find a bad wheel bearing unless you take it all apart. So, you know, you can assume some things, build that into your budget, but don't be afraid to do the project. That's it. That's the point. It's not that difficult, really. I mean, yes, you have to have a good bit of mechanical know-how. You do have to have a fair amount of tools, but it's nothing you can't go down to buy. You know, at Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight, they carry everything I've been working with. I've used maybe 20 different tools for this entire project. That includes the specialty ones. So it's not that big of a deal. And of course, I'm doing it as quickly as possible because, well, I want to get it done. Well, that and the wife comes home in 4 days, and I'm not going to have my half the garage to work on it. But I don't think I'm going to have it done. She might have to be parking outside a couple days anyway because I'm waiting on the painter. And there's at least a day after I get those back to put on the fenders, to do the final checks and all that kind of stuff before I can roll it out of here. So that's my only point. You know, if you're interested in doing it, hopefully this series, at least by the end of it, gives you a good indication of everything involved, the reality of how to do this project. And you know, it's really not going to get any worse than what you see because, like I said, this is my first time ever touching this bike. So I'm learning everything as I go, just like you would be if you got a bike that's a first-time bike for you. You know, so even if it's not your bike that you've had for 10 years that you want to change, that would be even easier. So just bear that in mind. But definitely check out Blue Collar Bobbers. They have kits and parts that I wouldn't call it a kit. It's not like you buy a product and, you know, it's everything you need. What they have is a variety of parts for a variety of bikes, and you can mix and match whatever components you want, and they have different finishes and different types and different sizes and all that kind of stuff to buy parts. So, you know, they call them kits, but they're just parts. Definitely check them out. See if a bike is on there you have that you want to do a project for. Or here's the cool thing, the bikes that they do have parts for, most of them are extremely popular, and that means inexpensive. The C50, I read somewhere that this is the most popular cruiser ever because of its very low entry point still. I mean, new, they're only like 8,500. They still make them identical. They've made this thing like almost identical for 15 years. There's tons of them out there. But they support Yamaha and Kawasaki and Honda. Lots of different options out there, but almost every bike on their list, man, there are tons of them out there. You can find them on Cycle Trader, you can find them on Craigslist. Don't forget your local Facebook motorcycle groups. That's where I find the best deals on stuff, and that's where I found this bike. Craigslist, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even suggest looking on Craigslist because the prices are head in the clouds, kind of, I'm going to get rich selling this bike. The people are insane, all right? And they're usually pieces of crap. Cycle Trader is a lot of new stuff and mostly dealers. So, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, but if you're looking for a cheap, higher mileage, older bike, Facebook groups are the place to do it. So it might take you, a few days to find the groups, to request to join them, to get into them, to be able to see which ones are actively selling stuff. Some are open, some are closed. You won't know what's in it until you get accepted into the group. But around here, there's a bunch of motorcycle groups and some good deals to be had. But it's also going to take some time to find that awesome deal. Who knows? You might stumble on it the first day you go looking, and you're like, "Oh, gotta get it." My guy, he dropped his price $400, and I was on the phone with him a half an hour later, going to look at the bike. And there were people behind me that probably were going to do the same thing. So you just gotta keep your eye out and ear to the ground. Anyway, question of the day: What's your favorite type of bike? You know, I know some of you don't even ride yet. That's perfectly fine. That's cool. I'm very happy that you're here and you're interested in Two-Wheel Obsession, or maybe you're just following this project, or maybe you found my reviews, or I don't know, whatever. Some of you ride, some of you don't. That's the point. If you're a rider, obviously you've got a favorite bike. Tell me about what you like and why. Are you a cruiser guy? Is it a comfort? Is it a low to the ground thing? Is it a leg clearance? Is it a just the way and the people you ride with, or all your friends cruiser riders? Do you like adventure bikes? Do you go off-road? My neighbor across the street, he has never ridden before, but he has his heart set on buying an adventure bike and going on a huge trip, like long way round and long way down. He's absolutely in love with doing that. I think he'll do it eventually, you know. But you know, are you a sport bike rider? Do you do just a ton of cruising on the highway? And do you live near mountains? Do you have lots of twisties? You know, I wish we had twisties around here. I wish we had elevation around here. You know, there's parts of Florida I love and parts I hate. There's no one place that's perfect. I know that. You know, I could live in the mountains and have awesome twisties, and then I'd have winter to deal with, and I couldn't ride for half the year. I can ride year-round down here, and I'll trade the lack of twisties for being able to ride 24/7, 365 practically. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, check out the site, share these videos, please. That's really important for me. And you know, if you like what you see, just share it. Share it on Facebook, Twitter. Hit that share button right on YouTube. Tell all your friends that ride motorcycles. Share it in your groups, forums. Hey, whatever. I appreciate it. See ya.